Attention passionate LAS, Vegas Raiders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC West and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Las Vegas Raiders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Las Vegas Raiders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and LAS, Vegas Raiders FANS. Let's get to the news. Now, folks, if you've been paying attention to the NFL landscape lately, especially to the Raiders, you know that this offseason has been anything but dull. The team is still in the process of rebuilding, trying to re-enter that competitive echelon of the league. And let me tell you, what's happening behind the scenes and in the rumors mill right now could be a game changer. A move that might set the Raiders up for a serious push in the AFC, and more importantly, their quest for another Super Bowl appearance. So, buckle up, because there's a lot to unpack here, from roster adjustments to strategic moves, and even some blockbuster trade rumors that could shake up the entire division. First, let's talk about the current state of the Raiders roster and what they've been trying to do this offseason. Las Vegas, coming off a disappointing 4-13 record last year, knows it needs to improve significantly if they want to make a real splash in 2024 and beyond. The team has been relatively active in the draft, selecting players like Jack Betch and Daunt Thornton Jr. in the early rounds of April's draft, hoping to infuse youth and speed into the wide receiver core. But the truth is, outside of Jacoby Meyers, who's proven to be a reliable target, the Raiders' wide receiver room still lacks that consistent, proven playmaker who can truly be the go-to guy in clutch moments. They need someone who can elevate the passing game and take the pressure off quarterback Geno Smith, who's shown flashes of brilliance, but still needs that elite weapon to unlock his full potential. Now, it's interesting because the Raiders have some options. They could look internally, trying to develop their younger receivers, or they could make a bold move in free agency or via trade to acquire a proven star. And this is where things get really exciting. Rumors are swirling about the possibility of the Raiders making a splash in the trade market, and one name that keeps coming up is Terry Mclauurin, the star wide receiver from Washington. That's right. Mclauurin has been a hot topic lately, especially with his contract situation with the Commanders. According to reports from Fox Sports' Jordan Schultz, Mclauurin has made it clear to Washington that he's frustrated with the lack of progress on a new deal. He's entering the final year of his contract, and there's growing speculation he might seek a fresh start elsewhere if negotiations stall further. And here's the kicker: Las Vegas has the cap space, the draft capital, and the motivation to make a move for him. They could be a prime landing spot, especially if Washington decides that a trade is the best option to avoid losing their star receiver for nothing next season. If that happens, the Raiders could very well swoop in and acquire Mclauurin, pairing him with Meyers and a developing Brock Bowers, the tight end who has shown tremendous promise in his rookie season and could become an offensive focal point. Imagine that, an offense with Geno Smith, a true WR1 like Mclauurin, a reliable second target in Meyers, and a dynamic tight end in Bowers. It would instantly elevate the Raiders' passing game to a new level, making them a more unpredictable and dangerous team in the AFC West. But of course, acquiring Mclauurin wouldn't be cheap. Washington is expected to ask for a significant return, possibly a first-round pick. The Raiders have the draft capital, and if they're willing to part with that, they could lock Mclauurin into a long-term contract, creating a formidable offensive trio that could give defenses nightmares. The idea of pairing Mclauurin with Meyers would give Geno Smith a pair of reliable, explosive receivers, and Bowers' emergence as a top-tier tight end would give the Raiders an offensive identity that's hard to stop. Now, let's pause here for a moment. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Las Vegas Raiders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. What about the challenges in this scenario? Well, for starters, Washington isn't just going to give away Mclauurin for free. They're going to want a substantial price, and that might include a first-round pick or other valuable assets. The Raiders have the draft capital, yes, but they also need to balance that with other roster needs, especially on defense and along the offensive line. Still, if they believe Mclauurin can be that missing piece, they might see the investment as worth it. Besides, the team's cap space gives them flexibility to negotiate a lucrative extension, locking in their star receiver long-term. Another interesting aspect to consider is how this potential move impacts the division. The AFC West has become one of the most competitive divisions in recent years, featuring teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos, and Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs still boast Patrick Mahomes and a formidable offense, while the Chargers have Justin Herbert and a talented roster. The Broncos are rebuilding, but have the potential to surprise if they find the right quarterback and offensive pieces. For the Raiders, making a move for Mclauurin or any other top-tier receiver could be the difference between a last-place finish and a playoff contender. It's about stacking the deck, creating mismatches, and giving Geno Smith, and by extension, head coach Josh McDaniels, the offensive firepower they need to challenge the division. And speaking of the quarterback, Geno Smith has been an interesting story. After stepping into the starting role last season, he proved he can be a capable leader and a decent NFL quarterback. But to truly take the next step and lead the Raiders to the playoffs, he needs better weapons. Mclauurin would bring that elite-level receiver that can run precise routes, make contested catches, and stretch defenses vertically. His speed and agility would open up the field for Meyers, Bowers, and the other pass catchers. It would also give Smith more confidence in clutch situations, knowing he has a go-to guy who can win one-on-one battles. Now, let's also remember that the Raiders have been making some interesting moves on their defense as well. They've added some promising players, but the secondary still has room for improvement, especially at cornerback and safety. The team's defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, has a tough job on his hands trying to turn this unit into a top-tier group. Improving the offense with an addition like Mclauurin could take some pressure off the defense, allowing them to play more aggressively and focus on creating turnovers. It's all about building a balanced team that can compete at the highest level in the AFC. Another point worth mentioning is the potential impact of this kind of move on the locker room. Adding a player of Mclaurin's caliber wouldn't just be a talent boost. It would send a message throughout the league that the Raiders are serious about contending again. It would energize the locker room, excite the fan base, and potentially attract other free agents or trade targets who see the Raiders as a team on the rise. It's these kinds of bold moves that can change the culture and set a new tone for the franchise. Looking ahead, the Raiders are also eyeing the upcoming draft and offseason plans. They have several picks and could use them to address other positional needs, like offensive line or linebacker. But if they make a splash for Mclauurin, it signals a clear intent. They want to win now. The AFC West is fiercely competitive, and standing still isn't an option if they want to make a serious playoff push. The combination of strategic free agent signings, smart draft picks, and a possible blockbuster trade could finally give the Raiders that offensive spark they've been missing. And let's not forget the history of the franchise. The Raiders have always been about bold moves, big personalities, and unforgettable moments. This team, with all its ups and downs, is still craving that moment of resurgence, that breakthrough season. Adding a star receiver like Mclauurin could be that catalyst, reigniting the passion of the fanbase and reestablishing the Raiders' reputation as a team that dares to dream big and plays even bigger. To wrap this all up, folks, the Raiders are at a critical juncture. Whether it's making a daring trade for Terry McLaurin, bolstering their offense, or continuing to develop their young talent, every move they make now could shape their destiny for years to come. The AFC West isn't just about who has the best quarterback or the most talent on paper. It's about who can execute, adapt, and outsmart their opponents on the field. And with the right moves, the Raiders could very well position themselves as serious contenders, capable of challenging the division giants and making a deep playoff run. And now, Las Vegas Raiders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all this? Do you think the Raiders should go all in for Mclauurin? Or would you prefer them to stick with their current roster and develop the young guys? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Las Vegas Raiders. Remember, I'll be back soon with more updates, rumors, and insights, so stay tuned for the latest Las Vegas Raiders news. We're in this together, and the future is bright if we play our cards right. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Raiders.